If you guys like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers, and I'll greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video. So I just want to talk about Brooklyn and how far do I believe they're actually going to make it in this season, especially the playoffs. So Brooklyn, of course, has one of the three best players in the league in Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. And this team has a very high ceiling, but as we all know, they have one noticeable problem, and that is defense. But with the firepower of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, when those three players are on your team, you know they're going to have a high ceiling. They are going to have to be their best no matter what's around them. But it is worth on asking, how far can this team make it in the playoffs? Because they are going to have to face teams like Milwaukee, Boston. The Sixers have been playing amazing so far. They're currently the first seed as of the recording of this video. And yeah, okay, but first off, I don't see this team finishing off in the top two because, of course, when you have Kevin Durant and James Harden, who are arguably both MVP candidates, who I don't see them winning it, mainly because they're, when Steph and KD played with each other back then and on Golden State, they kind of both just always canceled each other out. They always played amazing, but because they're on the same team, that usually just doesn't happen, or that usually just doesn't work in the MVP conversation. But again, they're both MVP caliber players, but they can't, especially, I don't want to say they can't guard anything, because especially with James Harden, his defense has improved over the years, especially in the post. But I don't think this team on the defensive end is going to be able to hold up, because they can drop 150 points, but then they can give right back 150 on certain teams. And it's like, I don't know. But to start off with this, I just want to talk about how their team season is actually going. And Kevin Durant is arguably one of the best top three players in the league, coming back from an Achilles injury. And we all know his story so far. And it's just incredible to think about it. And back in the old video, I said I don't know if Kevin Durant has what it takes to be Kevin Durant, as we all know. And this was before the season actually started, so don't give me crap for that. I'm sorry, I was wrong, obviously. But Kevin Durant is averaging 29 points on 52% from the field and 43% from three. He's Kevin Durant. We can't argue with that, of course. It's gonna be. This is one of the teams that, okay, as a Bucks fan, this is definitely one of the teams that scares me mostly. But I know it can go either way, and yeah, we just gotta wait and see. But going to the second superstar on this team, I just want to talk about James Harden really quickly, and I'm not gonna talk about his whole season so far. I'm just going to talk about his stats from Brooklyn, and they are actually similar though. But on his time from Brooklyn and Brooklyn only, he is averaging 24 points on 50% shooting from the field and 40% from the three-point range. And again, he's James Harden. We've been watching James Harden for years. We know what to expect from James Harden. So if this is a surprise from you, I don't know what to tell you. But again, this a big part of what I had concern with mainly when James Harden was traded to Brooklyn is how will these three players work? And as we can see, it's really working out well so far, at least. But to get to Kyrie, the third superstar on this team, he is averaging 28 points on 53% from the field and 44% from three-point range. So basically, to summarize it, all three of these players are averaging 50% from the field and 40% from the three-point range. And if you have those three players on the court with each other, that's going to be a big problem for other teams in the NBA, which we all know. But a big part people are not talking about is losing Spencer Dinwiddie, and this may eventually be a big factor for this team, because if Spencer Dinwiddie was still playing and he never got hurt, who knows, this team might have been the favorite. Spencer Dinwiddie is that type of player to raise your ceiling. He brings defense, what this team especially needs. He also brings offense, which we all know. And this team would definitely be a lot more scary if Spencer Dinwiddie was on the team. But we just have to wait and see how this team reacts. And I am expecting him to come back stronger next season. But for now, the Brooklyn Nets just have to be surrounded with players like DeAndre Jordan, Landry Shamet, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, who has been amazing for them in my opinion, Joe Harris. And they also signed some decent backup defensive players on this team like Iman Shumpert and Andre Robertson, who I honestly forgot was even on this team in the first place, considering he never played one single game for them so far. But at his best, he can be a defensive lockdown player, which again, for the 100th time, this team needs. But yeah, this season is really a question for the Brooklyn Nets. Is their defensive problems going to eventually cause them to struggle, especially in the playoffs, where we know it gets a lot more serious, and if you cannot defend a thing, it's going to be a problem. But we all know, we all see the weaknesses in this team, DeAndre Jordan especially, which, if anything, when they had Jared Allen, they should have kept him over DeAndre, but I do understand why they had to let go of Jared. But Jared Allen should have been playing more on the roster and before DeAndre Jordan, and I do understand having DeAndre Jordan on the roster helped you bring in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but is that really going to make your team better, starting DeAndre Jordan just because you know your two star players like it, and especially how he has been playing so far throughout the season? That doesn't help out anything but make you guys struggle more. And we all know some of the biggest weaknesses on this team could have been fixed if Jared Allen was the full-time starter compared to having DeAndre Jordan on the floor. And when the Brooklyn Nets played the Pistons, which they have lost, there was this one clip where DeAndre Jordan just let, I forgot who it was, but he just let him go right at the rim. And James Harden was screaming at him, please defend something. Because, like I said, for the 100th time, this team really needs defense. And that's why I have questions about this team mainly. How can they perform when it's time to win? And they've been winning, they've been losing. And they have been having injury problems where Kevin Durant has had to miss time. For the virus, he had to miss time because of a hamstring, I believe it was, injury. But yeah, I just want to know, what can this team do when it's time to defend and clamp up? And like I said before, when you have Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving on your roster, you're going to win games. Of course, having three of the best players in the league, of course, it's going to be hard to lose games, but they have been doing it mainly because of defense. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this team solve their problems. I have heard talks about Andre Drummond potentially being brought into the team, but the only way that would be possible if Andre Drummond is bought out. So I don't know, but Andre Drummond would definitely be an amazing piece for this team, especially over DeAndre Jordan. And if Steve Nash even thinks about starting DeAndre Jordan over Andre, there is going to be a big issue with Steve Nash. And if he gets fired, don't be surprised, because he should have did that with Jared. But hey, what can you do now? He's on Cleveland. But yeah, Jared Allen was definitely a very good piece for this team, but now he's no longer with them. And again, if you had to give up Jared Allen for James Harden, and we know with the trade pieces they gave up, I would definitely pull that trade. But there has to be some changes to this roster, in my opinion, which I still do believe in. I'm not saying I don't. That's not the point of this video. But if you think about some of the things that could go wrong with this team, there's a very good chance that could go wrong. But with that being said, I would like to thank you guys so much for watching, and I really appreciate all your support. And I just wanted to hop on here and talk about this Brooklyn situation and my thoughts on it. And you guys may have different opinions. Please don't forget to leave a comment on what do you guys think about this Brooklyn season and how it's going to go. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about this Brooklyn team, but don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.